some of the examples of congressional or some executive overreach that I've dealt with as Attorney General in South Carolina, I don't know if people are familiar, but at the beginning of the President's administration, he shuttered Yucca Mountain, which was the nuclear repository for all of the country's nuclear waste. As you know, there are over 100 nuclear sites in this country, and now states are having to store their own nuclear waste in their home states, which creates 100 potential targets as opposed to one guarded target. Plus, there are the environmental concerns. A joint Congress several decades ago and re-ratified the resolution in the early 2000s said that they wanted Yucca Mountain to be the repository. Basically, the President, through administrative fiat, shuttered Yucca Mountain. They cut off funding, and of course we won the court battle. There's still no funding for it. That's one example. We all know about the immigration suit that was filed by 27 states led by Texas. South Carolina joined it, in which the President decided he was going to effectuate immigration policy contrary to the will of Congress. And then of course EPA. We filed nearly 50 suits, or been involved in nearly 50 actions as a state fighting the EPA overreach. EPA is now trying to regulate ditches running through your yard because they want to redefine those ditches as a water of the U.S. because several weeks out of the year it may be filled with water in the wet season, and now you have to get a federal permit to build on it. These are some examples I'm giving the audience so you understand where I'm going. These are some of the concerns that I have seen as Attorney General. How would you reconcile the conflict that one of your federal agencies might have and that of the will of Congress? Because if they would come and, President Obama said pen and phone. Yeah. What would a President Mike Huckabee, how would you circumvent that?
Well, pen and a phone is a wonderful thing to have, but it doesn't supersede the law. And you have to have law on your side, not a pen and a phone. A pen and a phone is not superior to that which the people's representatives duly put forth. The EPA is a great example of overreach of authority. The EPA is essentially making law by regulatory and administrative capacity. That's illegal. And what should happen is the President should clip the wings of the EPA and make them only subject the citizens of the United States to any regulation that has authority in clear congressional intention. Because if you don't have that, then you have unelected bureaucrats essentially usurping the elected power of members of Congress. Now look, I get as mad about Congress as anybody in this place, probably madder than most of you, and they frustrate me often. But whether I like what they do or not, they're the ones in whom has been vested the authority to make decisions that have the force of law. When an unelected body, like the EPA, can tell South Carolina or any other state what it has to do with a ditch of water, then it has the force of law because that agency can not only come up with a rule, it can enforce the rule and impose the penalty of violating the rule. That violates the fundamental aspect of American jurisprudence, which is that you are innocent until you are proven guilty. IRS, another great example. The IRS is a one-stop shop. The IRS can open an investigation on you, can carry out the investigation, can come to findings as a result of the investigation, and impose the penalty, which could in fact put you out of business, destroy your livelihood, or even put you in jail. There is no check and balance within that system. I think that's blatantly unconstitutional. It's one of the reasons I'm a strong advocate of the fair tax, which is the only way to get rid of the IRS, because I think the IRS has become a criminal enterprise targeting people for their beliefs and acting outside the jurisdiction